I'm going to show you guys the best attack strategy that I've found so far for low level people like myself. You can see over here, I'm only level 3 and that's really low level, but I guarantee you guys this attack strategy will work for you no matter how low or mid level you are so far. So basically this is what I call the GPB attack. It's Giants, Prince, a Bomber, and you'll see how it works here. A couple raids I'll show you guys, but basically what I want to do off the bat is I want to get my Giant and my Prince, and as soon as I get up to 9 elixir, I go and pop the Giant in on the right side, and then a little bit behind him I put in the Prince. Now you can see right here I put the Prince in just to do a little defense before he goes off and goes on attack. But you can see here, once we do that, if you don't have the Bomber, you want to go ahead and put Goblins and Archers in the back just to build some volume. Basically what you want to do is have those background troops killing the defensive towers while your 2 troops, your Giants, take the hit damage, and your Knight does a lot of damage as well. So Archers, Goblins work, but the Bomber is the best because it deals the most damage in the background while it's being protected by the Giant and the Knight while the defensive troops are attacking those guys. As you can see right here though, I fended off his mini P.E.K.K.A. and again I'm in Arena 2 here. I know it's not very high, but it is a good attack strategy from as far as I know. I haven't got much farther than that with it, but I would imagine that it's pretty strong for a while. So again, you can see here, luckily I got dealt the 2 cards that I wanted. I put the Giant in as soon as I get to 9, and then as soon as the Prince is ready to go, I put the Prince in there in the background. You can see right here, I usually go for the right side, but in a strategy I'll show you guys in a minute here with another raid, is that if they are attacking from one side, you can go and do basically like a sneak attack. Let your defenses get hit. Let your right tower get hit if they're coming up the right side, and go for the left side. You basically want to go where they're not going to have defense. So if they spawn a lot of troops on one side, go ahead and put your Giant, Prince, Bomber on the left side or the other side that they're not on, and trust me, it will attack and kill all the way through their base a lot quicker than they can kill through yours. 9 times out of 10. So you can see here, I'm actually really not looking too good here. My Giant Prince didn't work out very well, and they're bringing heavy attack on the right side. So what I decided to do is put a Bomber on the left side there, right next to my tower, so they attack the tower still, but the Bomber can go and kill them a little bit. Again, the Bomber deals a lot of splash damage, so he's a really great guy for defense, and as long as he doesn't get hit, he can deal a lot of defensive damage and a lot of attack damage as well. See here, we barely pull off the defense there, and he's going to send a lot of guys in from the left side, so I decided, screw it. We're going to go for the right side. We're going to let them take out my tower on the left side because they're only sending in skeletons and goblins. My defense tower can hold that off for a while, and what we're going to do is save up again for the Giant and the Prince. And it's worth it. The wait is worth it. Trust me, this is a hard attack strategy because you're like, oh my god, I'm getting attacked. They're putting in a lot of troops. We gotta put some defense in. But you gotta wait. Trust me. As you can see right here, I waited till I get 10 elixir, which I took a lot of defensive damage on the left side there. Just totally ignored his attack strategy, and then put my Giant, Prince, and Bomber in. You can see right here, they go absolutely ham-taro on his attack, or on his defensive troops, and it's game over before he even knows it. And that is how we pull off the 3 crown win. The third attack here is going to showcase another type of attack strategy. So you can see here, I didn't get spawned any of the cards I wanted, and that'll happen every once in a while. It happened more often than not, actually. So what I decided to do here is you have to get those new cards spawned in. See here, luckily we had the Prince and Giant spawning in next. But what I decided to do is put a volume attack. And what I mean by volume is put in a lot of small troops that spawn more than 1 troop. And I put in Archers, Goblins, and I put in a Knight. So we're going to put those in the right there, and they're basically just to defend, I guess, off of any troops he might put in the beginning, and just so we can get those other cards in our arsenal or in our card pack here, so we can start spawning them. Now you can see here we lucked out, and he took out most of my left tower, but we still have basically an even match here. No towers have been taken out, and here we go. We got our Giant Prince left, and he hasn't spawned anything in yet. So we're going to find out what he spawns in a second, but again, I didn't have a Bomber, so I put in those volume troops, which are the Goblins here. You're going to see that they can just do a lot of damage from the background while without taking any damage. Unfortunately, he used a fireball on me and was able to take out all my goblins, but it didn't matter because guess what? We've already taken out one of his towers and can now push up farther. There's the Bomber we needed. The Giant goes down, unfortunately, and he does get a one of my towers with his Giant over there. Now, we could worry about that, but instead I decided to go ahead and push hardcore on the right side and finish off his main tower to get the win before he takes out mine with his Giant. Here is an absolute annihilation. This is what happens when you spawn and everything right away, and it works perfectly without them defending at all. I decided to put the Prince in the background here because he's faster than the Giant, so I spawned him in first, then spawn the giant in front of him. The prince still goes faster than him either way. This guy decides to put in a couple weak goblins on the left side. It's not going to matter. We do an absolute annihilation on this attack because he doesn't even try to defend me for some reason. I don't know why. We get the goblins in there and the bomber in there. Giant's still fully alive. This is game over before it even started. Within 30 seconds, his base is absolutely crushed, and that is the power of the GPB attack strategy. The final raid here is a little bit more difficult than the last one. Again, we get the right spawn in the beginning here. We get the giant and the prince in. However, he puts in 2 archers, a knight, and spawns a giant on the left side. Now, that giant is going to be a problem for us because I don't have enough elixir to defend against that giant. It's basically that giant versus my towers right now. And as you guys know, the giant has a lot of hit points. So that giant, I'm going to have to let it go and hope to God that we can push to the right side and get some kind of momentum going here as we do. So we've taken out his right tower and our prince is still alive going in, but unfortunately all the troops left are going to die for the most part. The bomb gets a couple throws in there before dying off. As you can see, the archers are taking the damage from the defensive towers, and that helps us get some hit points on his main base. But now we are basically out of elixir, and I decided we're going to wait again and go for another giant prince push. Get the giant there, prince spawns second, we're going to put them there up ahead on their side of the base, and that knight shouldn't be too much of a battle for our prince. Take him out quickly. Unfortunately, the giant takes about half of his health away, and he's starting to break some ground on the left side here. He's got a skeleton spawner, so it spawns skeletons constantly, so my defenses will get distracted by that if he puts in any other troops. Now, fortunately for us, we're able to push pretty hard on the right side with the prince, and there is no match for that. So the last raid I have for you guys here today is one that I probably should have lost. I was down by a lot. I was getting attacked pretty hard. In the beginning of the game, I thought it was over pretty early, but patience, persistence, and prevailing is what happened here. So he puts in a mini dragon to start the game, and I didn't have exactly what I needed early on, so I decided I'm going to go and try to defend a little bit to begin until I get all of my elixir up so I can get what I want, the giant and then the prince. So you can see here, he does a lot of damage early on. He sends in a lot of guys from the right. He puts in a goblin hut that sends in goblins every once in a while, and that's another building I have to destroy. So he makes it really hard for me early on. These arrows here probably weren't the best usage, especially with that giant. I probably could have used a different troop to help me out a little better there. I decided to send into the giant to the left. He gets totally destroyed by a mini P.E.K.K.A, so that's kind of useless. So right now, he's got one of my towers. He's got a P.E.K.K.A coming to the left side. Not looking too good. I decided to defend on the left with the prince, and then put some skeletons and a lot of volume troop, a small elixir, high volume troops on the right, and he's just sending in all kinds of guys right now. But luckily my prince on the left there goes and takes out almost the entire left tower by himself, and he probably didn't notice that, which was a really big thing you'll see later on. So you can see here, I finally defend enough off just to get back over to their side of the base. He shoots an arrow, and it's basically all even with a minute 30 left. We got 5 elixir in our arsenal right now, and we have a giant prince lined up ready to go. So I decide I'm going to screw it. I'm going to wait. I'm going to let them come all the way up the side of my base, and I'm just going to put a couple small troops here to defend before they get there so they don't absolutely annihilate the middle of my towers before there's any chance for me to even go and attack. So I decide, you know what, this is not working out. I'm going to have to continue to defend. I put the prince in there, and fortunately for me here, I'll put enough small troops in there to defend off from that dragon. And again, air troops work the same way as they do in Clash of Clans. You have to go and have things that shoot in the air. Like the prince cannot kill air troops, unfortunately. Now here we did the double elixir, and it's time for us to go in hardcore. I saw a little bit of push on the right side, so we're going to go and push even harder on the right side. I decided to go volume troops since we had that giant in there, and I didn't want to wait for the prince. I decided to go volume troops. We hit that right tower, which is a really big success for us right here. Now it's pretty much an even match. We have a lot of volume on the right side, but he uses an arrows, which is smart to take out all of my troops on the right side here. And guess what? With a double elixir bonus, we were able to get the giant prince to spawn in there. He spawns in a bunch of guys. It's pretty much a stalemate right now. It's going to be really close to see who finishes first. And I decided to put in a couple goblins in the bottom there just to defend off that giant so he doesn't absolutely take out my tower. My giant's over there as well. He puts in a mini P.E.K.K.A to take out my giant. And now I have 2 princes, fortunately for us. 2 princes going the right side. Looks like we're going to be able to pull this off. And I'm putting in constant troops on the right side here to finish off this raid. But the time expires and it goes into sudden death. And fortunately for us, we had so many on his side of the base already that we were able to get the first